Hi, Todd Martin here with The Walking Code. In this video, I'm going to discuss the concept of pushing off from your toes when you walk, and whether that's a good idea or a bad idea.
I won't be long. Yes, Bond here. Yes, Todd. No, you said you were shooting this YouTube video next week. No, I'm a little preoccupied at the moment. You'll just have to... Oh, can't you use a bloody clip and narrate over it? I've got to go. I want to thank one of my viewers for sending me this great tracking shot of James Bond walking in the opening scene of Spectre. It gives us a really awesome distance perspective to see multiple unbroken strides at a distance where we can analyze different parts of the body as they go through the walking motion. In this particular video, we're going to be looking at the action of the rear foot at the end of one step as it transitions to the next step. The focus is going to be on the concept of whether or not we are pushing off with the toes as we finish a step and begin the next step.
Thanks for joining me for this session of The Walking Code, where I'm going to discuss the idea of pushing off from your toes and whether that's a good idea or a bad idea when we're walking. Now, you know, if you've already seen my top 5 bad walking tips video, then you'll understand that I believe it's a bad idea. But if you're getting conflicting ideas from different people on YouTube or wherever else, I believe somebody needs to get into the details and tell you why people believe different things. And I'm going to tell you my perspective and show you very clearly from an anatomical viewpoint why I believe pushing off from your toes is incorrect. In order to explain why people might believe you should push off from the toes, I'm going to explain the anatomy of the ankle and what it's doing during the final phase of a step, which is the terminal swing phase. The terminal swing phase is after we've already swung the leg forward, and between that final position and when the heel hits the ground is the terminal swing phase of the step. So I've stepped forward with my left leg, the leg swing reaches its maximal amplitude, and then I bring it down onto the heel. Between that end of the swing and bringing it down is the terminal swing phase for the swing leg. That would be the terminal stance phase for the stance leg.
With each of Daniel Craig's steps, you can see that the end of the leg swing occurs with the heel still off the ground. The heel then moves back and down until it contacts the ground. This phase of the step is terminal swing. The rear heel elevates during this very brief portion of the step.
This is where our ankle on my standing leg is actually going to plantar flex reflexively or automatically as I begin to bring my left heel down. During this phase, my right knee is going to extend slightly, my ankle is going to plantar flex slightly, and my heel is going to connect to the ground. That's the initial contact point of the step, the next step. At that point, I'm actually going to change weight. This is the loading response phase of the step. This is where I believe most people are thinking we're pushing off with our rear toes, because my toe is still on the ground. But at this point, there is absolutely no backwards movement of my toe. At this point, my toe and my right foot actually need to be releasing from the ground to swing forward. During that change of weight, or the loading response phase, all of the weight is coming off of that rear leg and coming onto the forward leg. I have no backwards energy in that rear leg at all. I could lift the leg off the ground and I could complete the step in a normal manner. You do not absolutely do not need to push off the toe to get momentum to move your center of mass forward in the next step. The movement is all coming from the leg that has the weight on it. After you've changed weight, all of the energy from taking that next step is coming from my left side, lifting the body forward. There is no backwards momentum pushing off the ground necessary. So let me show you again at the beginning of the terminal swing phase, at the end of the final amplitude of the leg swing, I'm going to rotate the upper part of my torso on the left forward, and that's going to bring my heel down to the ground. At the same time, it's going to extend my right knee slightly, and it's going to plantar flex my rear ankle. Now let's get into the whole idea of whether we are pushing or using force against the ground when that is happening. In order to explain that, I'm going to show you a Tai Chi movement called rollback. In the walking code, I call this movement retreat. This is a core energy that we use to move functionally. In rollback, and I'm going to back up so you can see my feet. In rollback in Tai Chi, the most classic example is we're doing this movement called grasp the sparrow's tail. Go ahead and check out my grasp the sparrow's tail video for more details. And rollback is this movement here as I shift my weight backwards. And this is used as an arm bar or some other sort of defensive movement in Tai Chi. Let me do it from the side as I roll back. And you can see what's happening as I sink my weight backwards. My right knee, which is currently in flexion at this point, is going to extend. And my right ankle, which is currently dorsiflexed, is going to plantar flex as I shift the weight back. Those actions are actually going to be reflexive and generated by the movement of my core. So as my core turns, and what's happening in rollback is I'm turning my upper torso and my lower torso, my chest and my waist, towards my right leg as I'm flexing my right hip. And those three core energies together produce the movement of rollback. They cause me to shift my weight backwards, and as a consequence, automatically my right knee is going to extend and my right ankle is going to plantar flex. But I am not actively pushing down against the ground. There is no force being used on my foot. So I do not feel that I'm pushing down. My knee does not feel like it's actively extended. It's a reflexive motion generated by this movement of the core during rollback. I am not pushing down off my toe. So if you were to ask me, am I pushing off my toes during rollback? Absolutely not. In fact, I could actually lift my toes up and perform rollback just as well. But what is happening is my ankle is plantar flexing during rollback. So why am I explaining the concept of rollback as it pertains to walking? Because it's the actual same core movement and knee action and ankle action that is going on during terminal swing. I'm going to have to show you a different example of rollback in order to make that clear. There's another movement in Tai Chi called play the fiddle. And from here, I'm going to transition into a movement like this, and then into a movement we call step forward and parry punch. Let's show that again. I'm in this movement here, or position. I'm going to shift the weight forward, and then I change all my weight, and I do this other motion that's not related to this video. But the preparation for that movement is what we're really discussing here. And that is this forward weight shift, which is actually rollback going forwards. Rollback going backwards was off of my front leg, when my right leg is in front of the body. Rollback going forward is when my right leg is behind the body. But in the same way, I'm going to flex my right hip, turn my lower torso and my upper torso, or my waist and my chest, towards that flexing right hip, and that's what's going to generate this motion. Then I turn my waist in order to create the next part of the movement. When I do that rollback moving forward, you'll notice that my right knee goes from flexion to extension, and my right ankle goes from dorsiflexion to plantar flexion. At the end of the mid-swing portion of the step, which is right here, I'm going to begin the terminal swing by executing the same movement I would in rollback. I'm going to turn my upper torso, or my chest, forward on the left, turning it in a clockwise direction towards my right leg. That's going to bring my left arm to start swinging forward, and it's going to make my right arm begin moving back, and that's going to bring my left heel down to the ground. At the same time, my ankle plantar flexes automatically, and my right knee extends automatically. There's no actual conscious effort that I need to do to make my ankle plantar flex and my knee extend. It is a coordinated reflexive action that's generated by this core movement of turning my upper torso towards the rear leg. And you can see how the ankle and knee respond. But I do not have to push off, nor could you really time that push off correctly when you're walking if you try to do it consciously. It has to be a reflexive action. Therefore, you should not be thinking push off with my toes. Another thing is, it's not the toes that are pushing down, it's the ankle pushing down. I can do that action with my toes pointing up in the air, my ankle still plantar flexing. So the idea that it's the toes pushing off the ground is completely not correct. My ankle is plantar flexing on a reflexive basis. I am not pushing it down with an active thought of the mind. And that only happens until my heel contacts the ground. As soon as I begin changing weight, now all of the ankle action and knee action are going to be coming on my left side of the body. My left hip is going to be tucking under from my lower torso, or my waist rotation, and my upper torso or chest is going to be turning here, and my ankle on the side of my standing leg on the left now is going to be plantar flexing. My right ankle is completely passive after my heel hits the ground and as I change weight, which is the loading response phase of the step. Then I swing through to complete the step. That swing through requires no backwards energy from my right ankle here or my right toes. They are completely passive, and I can just demonstrate at the end of the change of weight or loading response, if I were to lift my right leg off the ground, I can still take that step completely normally with no action going on that right leg side other than letting it swing forward naturally. I want to show you the feet and ankles with some more detail from the end of this play the fiddle position in Tai Chi, where I shift the weight forward, and you can see that my right knee extends and my right ankle plantar flexes, meaning it's pushing down against the ground. My right ankle extends. Before that motion, my right knee was flexing and my right ankle was relatively passive. You're going to see my right knee extend and my right ankle plantar flex at this point in the motion prior to changing weight and stepping forward like this in Tai Chi. When we're walking, and I'm going to change my angle a little bit. When we're walking, I'm going to do that same motion from Tai Chi, and then I'm going to change weight and step forward. So the only part where the ankle is plantar flexing is going to be this moment here. As soon as I begin to change weight, there's no ankle plantar flexion going on. This ankle is essentially off the ground and not active. The activity occurs just during the shift, and when we're stepping, this is actually the point when my heel touches the ground. Once the weight begins to change, all of the motion on my right ankle is completely passive. Then I step forward in a completely passive right ankle fashion. The right ankle is not pushing down off the ground. Let me show you in a normal walk, and I'm just going to pause for a second here. This is not a natural position because I'm trying to basically hold my center of mass up without moving, but I'm going to turn the torso to bring the heel down, and at that moment you can see my right ankle just plantar flexed and my knee extended slightly. From this moment, watch the motion. You can see that plantar flexion happen. That is an automatic reaction to the core movement that brings the heel down. I am not consciously pushing down with the ankle in any way. Once it hits, that ankle then becomes passive as I complete the rest of the step.
So if we move with a relaxed and fluid core, your legs, including the knees and the ankles, will move naturally, and you do not need to focus on whether you need to extend your knee or extend your ankle or plantar flex or push off with your toes. These things are a natural consequence of fluid core movement. So that is what I want you to focus on. And I also want to thank James for the use of this video. I wish he could have been here in person, but apparently he was too busy doing other things. And I wish him the best.
Again, thanks so much for watching. Please like this video, share this video, subscribe to the channel if you're not already a subscriber. Click on the bell to get notifications for my future videos. Make sure you go back and watch all the other videos on my channel, because each one of these is giving you a little bit more detailed snippet of a particular portion of the gait, but the whole thing needs to be coordinated, and that's why it's really a good idea to get all the information I have on this channel. It's going to be super helpful for you. So again, thanks for watching. Have a great day.